So let us begin with today's session on Allen's keynotes, and the remedy we will discuss is in continuation with what we did last on Wednesday, which is the gastric remedy. So we have been discussing about Aesculus, Collinsonia, Elos, and today we'll discuss about podophyllum. The first line that podophyllum is, Allen's keynote mention about podophyllum is that it is adapted to bilious temperament who suffer from gastrointestinal derangement, especially after abuse of mercury, or they have bilious attacks. There is a comma after the line. So it means that all those patients who land up in your clinic and who complain of irritations again and again happening, gastroesophageal distress is always there. They'll need this medicine at some point of their gastric improvement journey, and your indications to give podophyllum will be what Ellen has mentioned in the subsequent lines. The first thing that maybe there will be an element of depression of spirits, imagines he is going to die or he is going to be very ill for a long time. Similar feeling we have in arsenic album. We are giving arsenic album left, right, center. There are some remedies we are abusing so frequently in homeopathy that you never know how badly you are palliating the patients. How will you correct yourself? By seeing the different literature, reading different literature, connecting the components of the different remedies and bringing together what needs to be prescribed in that patient as an individual presentation, rather than thinking of it as an as a empiricism or something that you have already given. So you will have a patient who is restless, anxious, very much worried, has a lot of gastric trouble. Don't give arsenic, go for podophyllum. That is going to help you. That is the way you should start thinking. Once you clear those blocks, you will start curing your patients. Next you have is thirst for cold water. Large quantities of cold water, and this also is there in bryonia. We also see this in arsenic. Next you have is pain, sudden shocks of jerking pains, and podophyllum affects right side of the throat, ovary, hypochondrium, and this is similar to lycopodium. So everywhere you see there is combination of different remedies. This remedy is often ignored because we always think that it is a diarrhea remedy, but if you have a patient who is having gastric distress, anxiety, lot of thirst for cold water, podophyllum is the remedy. Rather than giving palliation, give them cure. Next you have is headache alternating with diarrhea. In Collinsonia we saw headache alternating. There is in Collinsonia we saw uh, constipation alternating diarrhea. In Alos we saw headache alternating diarrhea, which is also there in podophyllum. Headache is there in winter and diarrhea is there in summer. This is there in podophyllum. Also in podophyllum you will have many indications to prescribe in children's cases. Difficult dentition, moaning, grinding of teeth at night, intense desire to press the gums. All those children who come with complaints of, the mothers will complain that the child is grinding the teeth the whole night. It's known as bruxism, Bruxism. In those conditions you should think of giving podophyllum, provided the patient is always rolling the head from side to side and desire for a lot of water and also very restless like arsenic. Next you have is painless cholera morbus, cholera infantum. The similar remedy is phytolacca. Diarrhea of long standing early in the morning, continues through the forenoon. For aloes it stops exactly after the first or the second stool. For podophyllum it will continue throughout, and then in the evening they will have natural stool. And there is lot of accompanied sensation of weakness or sinking in the abdomen or rectum. Patient will tell you that there is lot of emptiness. I feel that there is vague sensation in the abdomen I cannot describe, with multiple stools right from the morning till the evening, and evening there is normal stool. You can think of giving podophyllum. Next you have is diarrhea of children. We already discussed how you can give it in children whose mothers will always complain that they have grinding of the teeth. Similarly, in diarrhea of children, especially in dentition diarrhea, we can think of podophyllum very strongly. During teething, after eating, there is diarrhea, and if they are being given bath and after that they pass stools or there is lot of smell, it is mentioned in Kent's lectures. Once you go and read an entire paragraph describing how the podophyllum stool will seem to like, and once you remember that paragraph, how he mentions that the stool runs through the uh, child, the mother is worried, it's a stinking smell throughout the home. The whole paragraph, if you remember once, you will never forget it. So that's the beauty of the literature. If you remember something from different books, it will make your job easier. For podophyllum, it will be something that is more related to the dentition age, more related after eating there is diarrhea, and the diarrhea is more like dirty water or smells bad, and there is lot of vomiting or gagging like feeling in the child. The other remedy we have for a dirty water diarrhea, which is also benzoic acid. Next, you have the nature of the stool. So you got the conditions where you can prescribe podophyllum. One of the condition is a patient who is like arsenic, who has lot of gastric distress, lot of restlessness, desire for thirst for cold water, and sudden pains and right-sided affections. You should think of podophyllum. You have children, you have dentition cases where you can give podophyllum. Now you have the nature of the stool. So where will you give podophyllum? How will you give it podophyllum? What will be the indications? The stool will be green. Now you already read in the first line, its first sentence itself, that people who are predisposed to bilious attacks be will have to be given podophyllum. What does bilious means? It means that they always keep having irritations. The bile is irritating above, from the gastric mucosa. So this bile is so excess in quantity generated that it will also be seen in the stools. The stools will become green. The watery fetid profuseness of the stool should guide you to podophyllum. Other remedy given over here in Allen is also calcarea carb. It's kind of gushing out. So if we'll read once in few days, we will read about croton, you'll get to know what gushing out means. It's just pouring out like a water hydrant with a lot of pressure and then stops. That is gushing out stool. So you'll have the combination of aloes and croton in podophyllum. And the other remedies for gushing out stool is gambogia, jatropha, and phosphorus. Chalk like jelly like stools, you have it in aloes and also in podophyllum mentioned, and undigested stools. Many times, many mothers will complain that children have these undigested stools, the digestion is not proper. If adults and patients who are above the age of child complain that there is undigested stool, you can think of podo but also give a thought to china and ferrum metallicum. There is yellow stools, meal like sediment, and prolapse of the rectum before and during stool. So in those cases you can think of podophyllum, where different types of stools are present, and those indications will lead you to prescribing podophyllum. Patient is constantly rubbing and shaking the region of liver with his hands. Very rarely you will find this. It's not a symptom which is clinically too frequently observed. Although in our source books there are some symptoms which are mentioned in bold, or you will have that they are of academic importance, but from the clinical importance it's not so prominently seen. The other things definitely are seen prominently. Next you have is in extremities. After a lot of diarrhea, what will happen is there is bound to be some cramps, and the cramps will be mostly in the feet, the calves, the thighs. The concomitant will be that there is watery painless stools in the patients. And You have in female reproductive system, there is prolapsus uteri from overlifting or straining, from constipation after parturition, or with subinvolution. So some of these things you will find from the patient subjectively, some things you will find in the investigations. And in early months of pregnancy, when the patient may tell you that she feels better by lying on the stomach, think of giving podophyllum, other remedy being acetic acid. Pain and numbness in the right ovary is there, running down that side. So right sided affections, patient who is very restless like arsenic, who has lot of thirst for cold water, in those cases you can think of podophyllum very strongly to prescribe. And you have pain and numbness on the right side in the female who complain of pelvic inflammatory disease, or there is more of PCOD complaints, or right ovarian region pain. It can be ovarian cyst also. In those cases, if the pain is going from the right side to the right thigh, lilium tigrinum is one of the remedies, and podophyllum is the another remedy that you can think of. Suppressed menses in young girls, pulsatilla and tuberculinum are very strongly indicated. Podophyllum is one of the other remedies. Very rarely will prescribe in such conditions, but if you get a chance to give it on the basis of desire for cold water, restlessness, and someone who is having lot of gastric attacks, gastroesophageal reflux disease, think of podophyllum, and you will reach your intended cure which is required for the patient. Last section we have in Allen's keynotes is about fevers. Very few lines are mentioned in fever, and for that understanding is not enough. You need to read different literature, different books, and one of the interesting workshops that I'm currently doing is on the fever workshop, where lot of uh, probabilities of how you will deal with the case, and some sureties that what are the correct and the most appropriate rubrics to take in the fever cases, how to analyze different fever cases, how to understand the different literature which have mentioned about fever and fever remedies. That is what I'm taking up in this workshop with the help of before and after video cases. And all those who haven't joined, they can avail the recordings so that they can get the opportunity to understand fevers in a new light. Over here for podophyllum, Allen's keynotes mentions that there is fever paroxysm at 7 a.m., great loquacity during chill and heat, sleep during perspiration. So very less things you will understand from this indication. Why it should be given, how it should be given, that is in the fever workshop. Already 4 sessions have been done, and couple of more are coming in this week and every week till the mid of September. Then you have for podophyllum in Allen's keynotes the modalities which are of prime importance, and these are going to be your landmarks to prescribe podophyllum. One of the places you will see is that aggravation for podophyllum is early morning, aloes, nux vomica, sulfur, and in hot weather and during dentition you will see that there is more aggravation. Comparison, if you see, there is aloes, chelidonium, colinsonia, lilium tigrinum, murk salt, nux vomica, sulfur, all the gastric remedies, and something more. Like you see, there is an interesting involvement of murk salt. Murk salt like tongue is present in podophyllum. Murk salt like tongue is present also in chelidonium. So from the gastric and the tongue angle, you have some symptoms of murk salt as well in podophyllum. Once you know this, your job to prescribe medicines becomes easier. So, when should you give podophyllum? If you have already given some medicines after ipecac and nux vomica, if they have not improved, you can give podophyllum. Or if you think that patient belongs to the calcarea carb family, you have given calcarea carb or sulfur, but patient is not improving, there is portal congestion, podophyllum will come in the picture, relieve the portal stasis or the correct the portal congestion, and then you can go back to calcarea or sulfur. This is the way you should deal with these smaller remedies, and continue the bigger remedies again after the a small episode of these smaller remedies. So this is all about podophyllum today, and if you wish to join any of my workshops, Ellen's keynotes is just verbatim explained to you from the book what is mentioned, with some excerpts of how I have seen in my practice. But there are other glimpses that you can go through on my profile on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or from the workshops which we have posted, and you will get an idea of what actually you are learning or what you will be learning if you have joined the workshops. So that's all from me right now, and we'll join tomorrow evening for the next session on Allen's keynotes study streak. Till then, goodbye.